the drawing board. Which deck do we queue? Which deck do we think they queue? We decided to go for the Twisted Fate Elise deck, the new Spice, the back alley poker deck. Yeah, adjusting the emote lineup in between games, very important. This, I think, is just about the nuts emote lineup.
Is it the mustache? Who knows?
Booyah. And we see this time Czechia is the ones playing Spooky Karma. We're pretty happy to see the matchup overall. The interesting thing with this one is there's not much data on this deck yet, right? People don't really know its matchup spreads. But we saw in like the deck lists from yesterday that their Spooky Karma... Like yesterday they did not play a single whale in their deck, but 2 grasps for 5 mana removal cards instead.
Yeah, that would have been a lot better if they didn't run whale.
It would have been a lot better if they didn't run whale. So at that point we're actually super happy to play into it. We get slightly punished later on, but we'll get to that. So our opening hand, the only decision we have is do we keep the TF or not? TF obviously being good for either draw or gold carding a River Shaper or red carding Spiders or Aristocrats. But we don't really have cards besides it. We decide to mull everything else. And right now our hand doesn't look that bad.
Yeah, solid hand, just no 1-drop. That's the only thing you would want it. Maybe.
Yeah, but the only 1-drop you play on turn 1 is Jagged Butcher anyway. And you don't mind banking the 1 mana since you play a lot of go hards.
It's fine. Butcher would have been pretty nice because we had the token as well.
Yeah, for sure. Butcher would have been the nuts.
Damage until turn 3.
But hey, there's not much more that you can do then. I mean, we already kicked 3 out of 4 cards. Could have kicked 4, wouldn't have made a difference. A rather uneventful first round. We play the Petty Officer. Get the Lonely Poro.
Nuts.
Yeah, I checked my emotes real quick to see if I had either the Sad Poro or the Rainbow Poro, and I didn't.
That's why. No.
Yep, and we see the Go Hard and we realize immediately, oh shit, they did tech in Wales. But...
At this point, I do think, though, that we were fine with it because it's a whale that doesn't heal and only hits basically 2 cards.
Exactly. So far, we expended 2 cards and 5 mana for their 2 cards and 6 mana, but they got the Go Hards shuffled into their deck very early, which is an upside.
Yeah.
And it can get ugly later, right?
Yeah, so here we're thinking the obvious play is just drop TF, but it's a lot less damage because the deck, besides River Shaper, the deck doesn't really have much that they can drop here. So we're thinking maybe just Poro plus Doom Beast seems good because it threatens 4 rather than 2.
Mm-hmm. And also the Twisted Fate gold card or red card could be super useful later on. So we decide to go for maximum damage output here instead. And as soon as a Nimble Poro is on board, we're tapped out of Twisted Fate mana. The Czechs develop the River Shaper. And here we reassess the situation. Like we think, do we still want to go for the Doom Beast or do we want to double go hard the River Shaper this turn while they don't have counterplay? So we use the 1 go hard here. We're still thinking though, because if we use the 2nd go hard right away, it messes up our unit development. Because we don't really want to play the Croaker and kill our own Poro. That would be cruel. And if we play the 2nd go hard, we cannot play TF and the Doom Beast next round. With the hand we have, we also don't really want to play Twisted Fate red card. We very much want a blue card because we are going to need more value. We need to go wide again. We need to draw a lot. So we do decide to play Doom Beast. They don't have mana for Ruination or a board wipe anyway. And we top deck a Jagged Butcher, which is a really nice draw. Open up with Go Hard, see what they do.
Also, yeah, the reason why we didn't block the River Shaper is because we want to have the target for Go Hard. It's very hard to find good targets in that matchup.
Since we are the Turbo Go Hard deck, we want to just shuffle it in as quickly as possible before we play our draw cards. Because we are going to play either Fortune Croaker or TF this turn. We just use the go hard target. Czechia's passing. We're thinking they might have a Thresh in hand and just be hesitant to play it so they don't play into our Twisted Fate gold card.
I do think it's fairly likely that they would just drop it though.
Yeah, it would be reasonable. And we're thinking...
Even the line of play where they drop Thresh and we just gold card it, they take some damage, but they still get to pull the TF next turn.
Yeah. So against this deck, we're not really going hard for the Twisted Fate win condition.
Yeah, definitely. You just use it. I think you use it to draw most of the time, just to card advantage.
Like, it is something that our opponents do need to remove, but they have plenty of ways of removing it. So here we decide to just go for maximum damage output and play Jagged Butcher Croaker. We ping the 3-1 because we would... Like, the River Shaper is going to block... Like, if we ping the 2-2, the River Shaper is going to block the 3-2 anyway. And if they have a Vile Feast, the outcome is the same.
Yeah, essentially on this constellation, the River Shaper wants to block the Doom Beast either way. And if they have a ping, they can choose to ping the 2-1 that we leave. Otherwise, anyways, it doesn't really...
Yo, Amy, thank you for the raid. Nice to see you playing Legends of Runeterra again. Everyone who's just swinging by, I'm currently here with Josh with Gamebreaker. We played for Team Germany in the European Championship earlier on, and our match here was not featured on the main stream, but fortunately for us, our teammate did record it, and we are now for the very first time reviewing it. So you guys can see all the action. Raid Shadow Legends. No, those times are way past us. Saw us win yesterday. Yeah, I think I remember seeing you in the stream chat on the 15 minutes day we had. Yeah, this one was not featured. This one was featured last week, but this week the other match from the group was featured. Okay. Anyway, back to the game. This series was actually insane. It was straight up insane. You're gonna enjoy this one, Amy. We're already on game 2. Game 1 was... we played Spooky Karma against Czechia's Lee Sin combo deck, and they just pretty much OTK'd us. No, they actually killed us over the course of 2 turns, technically.
Yeah.
And here we're playing the TF... Wait, Twisted Fate Elise Go Hard Tempo deck into their Spooky Karma. We're in turn 5, developed a nice board. Interestingly for us, they decided to block a 2-2 instead of the 3-1.
Yeah, I mean, that basically just signalizes the Go Hard.
Yeah, but they just drew the Go Hard off of the River Shaper, so they did play their odds well, I guess. They have a high likelihood. We took that as a soft read that they might also hold Whale, because it is definitely a risky play to just rely on the Go Hard here. They develop Karma, and we know we can just kind of do whatever we want. Don't have to be scared of anything on 2 mana. Easy blue card, get that cycle going, look for the other Go Hards to finally get that pack your back.
It's a shame we didn't have Go Hard, because Gold plus Go Hard would have been also nice.
Yeah. But we find the Elise. It's a pretty sick top deck.
Yeah, the Elise pressures nicely.
Yeah, and after the early Whale on turn 3, we redeveloped the board nicely, rather. This is... Oh yeah, they're taking the free attack, they're knowing that we won't trade. We won't block, because that means that we get less damage in on the next turn. Zap is a... Sorry, you go?
We kind of did take that attack as a read that they hold a Rekindler, because risking blocking us with a 2-attack unit and then just go harding the Karma if they don't hold a Rekindler.
Yeah, that's risky. Yeah, wide board, full swing. Karma is going to block the TF here. And... this is an interesting spot here. Concussive Palm, Elise. And since the deck lists are closed, we don't know whether or not they run Grasps, and we don't know whether or not we're gonna have better Glimpse targets. The upside of glimpsing here is, like, obviously the Elise dies, although she wouldn't have to die, but we have board space problems anyway, and we want to draw anyway. And glimpsing here basically kills their 3-2 blocker as well. Oh, so we decide to go for it. Looks like a very good, very high value glimpse.
Also, we did see that their list yesterday had Grasp and no Whale, so we thought that the most likely card for them to take out for Whale would be the Grasp.
How would we describe this deck? Draw aggro? Yeah, it's basically... It is a tempo list, a Swarm tempo.
I think it's one of those decks that changes how it plays depending on your matchup.
Yeah, can adapt very well to your opponent. And boom, we drop the Zap. Zap in this deck can only draw Go Hard or Glimpse Beyond. So we have very good odds of finding the Go Hard. We think about whether or not we want to Go Hard the Karma here and potentially enable a Rekindler. This was actually a really tough decision. This was a very key turn. But if... Like, the upside of removing her right now is obvious. Another hidden upside is that if they play Rekindler next turn, they cannot Ruinate anymore, and we still get a very good open swing. We can use all of our mana to salvage and to improve our board, and get a scary swing, because after Rekindler, they only have 2 mana. And if we don't go hard her right now, she is gonna generate another random card. Value advantage to our opponent. So we think for a second. Playing the Go Hard here gives them a good open Ruination.
Yeah.
And an okay Rekindler, but no random shenanigan, Hearthstone, I don't even know. Ridiculous card pulls.
The reason why also we are not that scared of the Rekindler is because we get 3 draws, and I think at this point we are at Pack Your Bags level, right?
Yep, exactly.
So if they do play the Rekindler here, we have like a bunch of draws to find Pack Your Bags and just blow up the board because they don't have deny mana, and we assumed that they didn't play Noblefy because their lists up until this point didn't have Noblefy in the event.
Yep.
So if you play Rekindler here, knowing that we are already at Pack Your Bags level, I don't think that's a viable play at all.
Nope. So at this point, we're kind of happy because Ruination is fine for us. We have full mana and a bunch of draws to redevelop. And Rekindler is fine for us because we have a high likelihood of finding Pack Your Bags. Then this happens, right? They start off with their own 3rd Go Hard, if I recall correctly. 2nd or 3rd, I don't remember exactly.
2nd, I believe.
Deep Med. No, that was the 3rd. Because they were, I remember. They were thinking about immediately locking in the Pack Your Bags, and boom. The Spooky Karma decks actually gets their Pack Their Bags before the Turbo Go Hard deck. Which was a bit sad.
We had it before, then we just didn't use it yet.
Yeah, that's true. No reason to use it. So that's a pretty easy glimpse for us. We were very much looking for units to redevelop here, and this made us a bit sad.
That was so sad.
So while the game looked looked very, very good for us just 2 moments ago.
Yeah, so here for a second we thought about just Pack Your Bags and then play the Croaker, because it does represent lethal, but it loses to every single spell in their deck pretty much. The cool thing here is that the cool thing about drawing the other Pack Your Bags is that if they deny one, we do get his 2nd one, which is pretty nice.
Mm-hmm.
But the play puts them at exactly 2, and we play a Croaker, so we lose to every single card in their deck pretty much.
Yeah.
It's not game against Vile Feast, it's not game against Vengeance and stuff like that, so we just decide to hope we draw a unit so we can...
Exactly.
We can start with a unit. I mean, at this point, we are at almost only units in deck. I think it's only like Vengeance and Ruination that are not units anymore, because we have drawn all 3 Glimpse and the major part of the Go Hards. Right.
Yep, that's the 3rd Glimpse. We have 2 Vengeances, 1 Ruination left, and Salvages, but which...
Salvage would be even better than a unit at this point.
Yeah. So they take the free swing. We're still debating on whether or not... But we already kind of decided that we are not going to take the gamble here. And we find a unit, which is pretty big because it enables the Croaker draw.
Yeah. I think the best draws in this spot would have been either TF, Zap, or Wool Shark, probably.
Mm-hmm.
But the Butcher's fine.
The best draw is basically more draw to draw into more value. But we don't mind the Zap at all. It's actually a pretty good find. So our opponents have a very hard turn here. I'm not sure what their hand is. Like, unfortunately, there's no way for us to...
Well, we know some of it, but...
Yeah. We have some reads going, but we don't know their full hand. So we don't know which decisions they're struggling with. They play Vilefeast from the very left.
I do wonder, at this point, why do they feel inclined to play the Vilefeast immediately? And not on, like, an attack?
That's a good question.
That's what I would not be afraid here of us swinging with that. Like, what do they want to create the blocker pre-combat for? Because this makes our play a lot easier.
Bajatak saying 4 death cards? You mean 4 hard removal cards or like cards you cannot use? How much delay is on this baby? None. Absolutely none. Yeah, it looks like we are getting some FPS drops on stream again. I have to apologize. Yeah, I do not have the best of internet service providers. And the internet is struggling sometimes.
Oh, they had 4 dead cards, is what he's saying, I think.
Alright, so we find the Vengeance and Chronicler, which are both like semi-dead cards. Because we kind of know we have to win fast, probably on this turn.
The Chronicler is cool in case the Zap survives and we get it off again.
Yeah, Chronicler is generally interesting in this. The only problem is we are on turn 9. They already have a Karma in their dead pool.
Yeah.
And we think it's very possible they're holding Rekindler. So we're aiming to finish the game this turn. We knew they played the Vilefeast from the very left. It was top decked. So we have not even a soft read, but we kind of have to play to win here, right? It's more likely for them to have something like Rekindler than for them to have a way to stop the double pack your bags in case they deny the first one. And if they play blockers, this for us means play Zap and pray they don't have an answer on 3 mana. I think in their deck only Vilefeast and Go Hard saves them.
Yeah.
They would have used Go Hard. And like I said, the Vilefeast was top decked. And if they didn't tech a random Steel Tempest, this should be game.
They do still have the generated card from Karma that could have been a Steel Tempest. But yeah.
True.